Super excited to share yet another amazing and inspiring journey and a purpose story from our special guest. Today we have Elizabeth, and we are going to hear her story along with you. So, just a simple question for you, Elizabeth. Where are you from?
I'm from London, but my heritage is Nigerian. So my parents met in London when they came to study as students, and they had me, my brother, and my sister. And yeah, that's where I'm from, London.
Beautiful. Always nice to see where you've landed in the world today.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next is the most important question. I'm just going to ask you to take us to that aha moment where you got really clear on your purpose and take us to where you are today. So we are excited to hear your whole journey and purpose up till today.
That is a lovely question. I'm going to start by saying that originally I thought my purpose was to be a professor. So I was quite intelligent. People tell me so, and had a propensity for the sciences. And I ended up studying microbiology. I did my master's degree, and the expectation from all my professors was that I was going to end up being a professor, a lecturer. At about age 20, I was already lecturing, and I was doing pretty well. And then a couple of things happened, and I ended up working in the UK. I came to the UK, trained, and I ended up being a scientist in the UK. So I became a microbiologist, and I was very happy in the lab. I was a lab rat doing my own thing, and I honestly thought that was my purpose. And then one day it was a conversation with a colleague. She was talking about what she was going to have for dinner. I think she talked about courgettes. I think you call them zucchinis. And I just thought to myself, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I will kill myself if I have to listen to this conversation one more time. So I resigned. And I know it sounds weird. There were other factors as well that led to the resignation. I resigned with nowhere else to go. And I remember the phone rang in the lab. And when the phone rings, the person nearest to the phone, you just pick up and answer the inquiry. And it rang, and it happened to be an agency that was looking for what they call locums, scientists to freelance. And I signed up. I said, believe it or not, I literally just resigned and I signed up. Anyway, long story short, I ended up doing an MBA. I ended up working in the city. I became a headhunter. I started recruiting chief executives and directors because I'd always wanted to do something different. But I knew that wasn't really my purpose. Now, this is where it gets a bit funny. 2008, we know what happened. The markets went down. I got laid off from my headhunting job, and I decided to start my cake company. I've always been passionate about making cakes. It was an all-consuming passion. Martha Stewart, Colette Peters, these were people that were you know how people have pop stars as heroes? These were my heroes. So I ended up taking courses. I ended up setting up my own cake company. And by some random fluke, again, picking up the phone, ringing, I ended up working with the first party planner in the UK. Her name is Lady Elizabeth Anson, Lord rest her soul, and she was the direct cousin of the late Queen of England. So she worked for the best of the best, the creme de la creme, and I honestly thought making cakes was my purpose. And it was for a while. And this is where the purpose journey is not, sometimes it's not straightforward. Sometimes there are several branches and several detours. And then 2020 happened, COVID happened. There was this Black Lives Matter movement. There was a lot of noise, a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, pain, etc. But there was one question I kept asking myself: what happens after the black squares? What happens after all the noise dies down? Because I know a little bit of human psychology to know we are going to go back to what we always did and what always kept us alive. And that was when I started Googling. I joined Clubhouse, the audio app. I found kindred spirits. And then I realized that actually, yes, I have a passion for cakes, but my purpose really was luxury, because I was an accidental luxury business. I did not set out to be a luxury business. I just ended up making cakes for some of the best families in the world, some of the richest families. But then I'm just little old me. There's nothing about me that is money or I wasn't born into money. I wasn't born into wealth. But somehow I attracted these clients, and I started asking, what was it about what I was doing that was attracting these clients? Long story short, this is when I then realized, after a couple of years, I realized my purpose is actually to help businesses get into the luxury world, because it was something I found easy, it was something I found natural. But what I found that was that even as a cake maker, I was mentoring, I was coaching, I coached hundreds, and I mean literally hundreds of businesses, especially when they're starting out. How do I take photos? What do I do? And I enjoyed it. And it was something I did for free. I mean, I did a lot of free work. So what I've now done is I put everything I know, I put it into a book called The Luxpreneur. Like you've coined the purpose parties and the purpose day, I've now coined the Luxpreneur. You work, it's a small business owner that wants to work in the luxury industry. What do you need to know? And there's a lot of mystery, and this is what gets me. There's a lot of mystery around the luxury world, and a lot of the books are written by professors of luxury, very academic, very intelligent people. However, are the books of practical use to business people like myself. So I want my book to be accessible, to be something people can read and understand. They need to understand themselves. They need to understand the kind of luxury business they are aiming to be, and they need to understand luxury clients. And I've coined a number of archetypes for luxury business owners, and a number of archetypes for luxury business clients. So as soon as someone sits in front of you and you ask the right questions, you know the exact archetype they are, you know how to deal with them, how to treat them, and how to get them to buy from you. So that, in a nutshell, is my purpose. And this excites me more than anything ever. Yes, I did have a passion for cakes. I was excited about cakes, but then I realized my purpose was much bigger than just making cakes.
That is so beautiful. Wow. And I love how your purpose went from one clear breadcrumb to the next, and and they weren't all connected in what we normally would think. Like, okay, normally go to college, then get the career, then it was a very like you said, like a very different directions that it took, which is so amazing. And now that's landed you to be able to help other businesses to access a greater impact, which is so beautiful. And it is like another kind of dictionary or language. So you're kind of translating for the businesses how to access and how to learn the language of luxury, and to access that for themselves. And I did see some of your beautiful cakes. They were absolutely stunning, and I'm sure they tasted delicious as well. So what would be something that gets the entrepreneur stuck if they do want to enter into the luxury world? What are some of the things that you see? And I love that you have the archetypes, but what is something that gets them stuck?
I see people get stuck all the time, and it's usually they need to get out of their own way, number one. Sometimes some of the barriers are in the mind, absolutely, but some of the barriers are actually, there's a barrier to entry. So depending on what industry you want to get into. So for me, I was quite lucky because the barrier to entry is so low. Anybody with an oven and anyone that can get a cake mix can make a cake. But what makes it luxury is the value added, is something quite different. So you can get stuck with a barrier to entry, but then you can overcome that. Gone are the days when you had to fund your own business yourself. You can get somebody else to fund your business. I call it OPM, other people's money. They can fund you if they believe in you, and then you produce results. Other things that can be a barrier are the luxury codes, the luxury language that people don't quite understand. Another massive barrier, apart from the luxury language and luxury code, is how do I find the client? That is the one question people ask me the most. How do I find clients? And I attempt to answer that question in my book. So, for example, I would say to people, you can find these luxury clients on social media, but there are things you need to look out for. And I often, in some of my coaching classes, I teach people how to go online to specific places and find the people and what what the signals are, what the signs are that this person is a high net worth person. So those are some of the things that are barriers, finding the clients. And another barrier is sometimes thinking, oh my God, I don't know how to sell. How do I sell? That is a huge one. Then I say, and I know some people say, yeah, you need to learn about overcoming objections. You need to learn about, and that's all valid. Don't get me wrong. However, if we're talking about certain types of clients that are high net worth, I say to people, imagine you put yourself in their position and they get sold to all the time. And we're also told, oh, prepare your elevator pitch. I say, yes, you should have an elevator pitch if they ask you what you do, if they're interested. However, get to know people on a human level. And there are certain subjects that is universal to everybody. Health is universal. If you try to lose weight and you have or you haven't, that's universal. Relationships, love. Everybody falls in love, everyone falls out of love, etc., etc. So find those common grounds with people, as opposed to you get in an elevator, you don't even know who they are, and you're pitching, and they get sick and tired of it. And also, another thing that people don't do when it comes to barriers is you have your target in mind, your prospect in mind. You don't do enough research about them. So, for example, if I were to meet somebody like Jeff Bezos, I already know what I'm going to talk about with him. I'm not going to pitch to him, but I know two passions of his because I've done my research. I know two things he's passionate about. And the moment you open your mouth and he's this like, oh, light bulb moment, oh my God, she gets me or he gets me. So my point is, we need to think beyond. You meet someone high net worth and you've got to pitch them your product, because it's not about you pitching that product. If, for example, they might not be interested in your product, but if they like you enough as a person, you get the referrals and the introductions. So that's for me, that's what I found. And that's how I've been able to get clients and sell my cakes. And I'm the kind of person where if they come to me and say, I had a client say, I want a cake shaped like a zebra or something. I'm like, no, I'm wedding cake lady. However, I know amazing cake makers, and I would do the referral. I will not, I don't try to say, oh, I can do everything. And that's another mistake I see entrepreneurs, because you want to do everything. You want to show that you can do it. But there are times you need to be confident enough to say, actually, that's not me. You should go somewhere else. So those are some of the barriers that I see. And those are some of the, I think, tips that people can use to try and get in front of those types of clients.
Absolutely. And that's so right on point. I mean, I think we've all, no matter what the status is, are plagued with cold DMs. And I'm going to start a movement of warm DMs. Hey, ask somebody what's important to them. Like, let's start off with warm instead of cold. Who wants a cold DM? Who wants a pitch right on the first go?
Exactly.
And it's in real life, anyone, no matter who they are, they want to be treated as a human first. And then if you have a vision that you want to enroll them in, have a conversation and share. But I like what you're saying is first find what it inspires them and connect with them in their passion. And then, if they ask about you, then you can share what you're doing, so it's a two-way street. It's just like in relationships, like you were saying. So health and relationship are universal languages. So how do you, get on in a relationship? Do you meet someone and ask them to marry you right away? Like, hey, can you marry me right now? Like, do you need to, can we get to the courthouse? Like, I mean, how would
Red
that?
flag.
So, and that's what people are doing all day long. They don't realize they're giving out marriage proposals left and right. And of course, they're going to get rejected from that.
Absolutely. I love that analogy.
Yeah, I've heard it several times and it just totally hits home. I'm like, I would not want somebody to do that to me. So do unto others as we would like done unto us. So I love that. And I'm sure that your story has inspired many to see themselves in, looking back and seeing their breadcrumbs. And so what is your goal for your purpose? Like you're helping these entrepreneurs get into the luxury business. What is your bigger vision of bringing
Um,
them?
the bigger vision actually is I set up something called the Diversity in Luxury Awards, and it's not, diversity as people, think it. This is a global purpose. So what I've done is I've literally gone around the world, finding the best luxury entrepreneurs around the world that people haven't heard of. So an example is a needlecraft school in a tiny village in India that does embroidery for Hermes and Dior, and nobody knows about. So it's about finding unsung heroes like that alongside the established brands that we all know, and showcasing such brands. So if they can do it, so can you. It's about finding the artisan who is very passionate about what they do. And they are maybe they are suppliers to the luxury sector. There was an amazing guy I found in the UK. He had done a collaboration with Rolls-Royce, I think Bentley or Rolls-Royce, and he dropped out of school. He is a CGI artist, very self-taught, I think he was neurodiverse, and he did such an amazing collaboration with Bentley. So it's about finding unsung heroes and people like that, to say they're just like you and me. They haven't come from money. They have managed to work with these amazing luxury brands. So that, to me, that's the kind of diversity that I want to promote, where people, based on the merit, based on what they do, the incredible things that they do, they come to the notice of these amazing luxury brands. So that for me is a bigger purpose. The first awards we did in January in London went even beyond what I thought. The whole industry rallied around. I'm planning the next one for next year in London because I want London to be the destination for it. And right now I'm on the hunt for those tiny, small brands that are doing amazing things. So that is the bigger purpose. That for me is really, these are things that I think for me, you know your purpose when you can do it for free. You can do it even if you're not getting paid, as long as you've got a roof over your head and food to eat, you will definitely do it. So this for me, this drives me, helping these businesses.
That is so beautiful. I love that vision and congratulations. So I just want to celebrate you in your story and your journey and who you are today. It is so inspiring to me, and I know it's going to be inspiring to many others. And I'm so excited to see how these diversity awards continue to grow and your purpose continues to grow and shine and help others. So just really want to thank you deeply and sincerely for coming on today and sharing your purpose and your journey. It's such a beautiful story and experience. So thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Rose. This has been amazing. I love it. Honestly, I think you are onto something incredible. I think Purpose Day should be a national holiday all around the world. And I can see, you having this Zoom and people joining in and celebrating their Purpose Day. I just love it. And thank you for this incredible and extraordinary vision. And thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.